Have you ever been ready to speak English and then suddenly nothing?
Your mind goes completely blank. You know you studied, you know the words, but in that moment, they disappear.
And the strange thing is, 5 minutes later, the sentence comes back perfectly.
If that has ever happened to you, don't worry. You're not lazy, you're not bad at English, and you're definitely not alone.
I'm Maya.
And I'm James.
Welcome back to the Maya and James podcast, where we help you practice real English through real conversations.
In today's episode, we're talking about a frustrating experience almost every English learner has had when your mind goes blank while speaking.
Why does it happen? Why does your brain freeze in the middle of a conversation? And more importantly, how do you fix it?
Let's talk about it.
Maya, I think this is one of the most emotional struggles for language learners. Because when your mind goes blank, it doesn't just feel like a language problem. It feels personal. Yes, exactly. It can feel embarrassing. You might think, why can't I say something so simple? And in that moment, it's very easy to judge yourself.
But the truth is, going blank is usually not a sign that you don't know enough English. Very often, it's a sign that your brain is under pressure.
Right, and pressure changes everything. When you're relaxed, you can remember vocabulary, understand grammar, and speak more naturally. But when you're nervous, your brain stops focusing on communication and starts focusing on danger.
That's such an important idea. Your brain thinks something stressful is happening, even if the real situation is just a normal conversation.
Exactly. Maybe you're talking to a native speaker. Maybe someone is waiting for your answer. Maybe you're scared of making a mistake. Suddenly, your brain is not thinking, let's communicate. It's thinking, don't fail.
And when your brain moves into that kind of survival mode, language becomes harder to access.
Yes, it's almost like the words are still there, but the door to them closes for a few seconds.
That's a great way to describe it.
And I think many learners make the situation worse because the moment they freeze, they panic. They say to themselves, oh no, it's happening again. And that second layer of fear makes everything even harder.
So the first blank moment is one problem, but the fear about the blank moment becomes another problem.
Exactly. And that creates a cycle. You speak, you freeze, you feel embarrassed, then you become more afraid next time. And because you're more afraid next time, you're even more likely to freeze again.
So if someone wants to stop going blank, the real goal is not to become perfect. The real goal is to interrupt that cycle.
Yes, that's where real progress starts.
So let's talk about why this happens. What do you think are the biggest reasons?
For me, there are 3 big ones. The first is pressure. The second is overthinking. And the third is trying to build long, perfect sentences in your head before you speak.
Let's take those one by one. Pressure seems obvious. I think overthinking is a huge one.
Absolutely. Many learners are not just speaking. They're also checking their grammar, searching for the perfect word, comparing themselves to native speakers, and worrying about how they sound all at the same time.
So their brain is doing 4 or 5 jobs at once.
Yes, and that's too much. Speaking needs speed. It needs flow. But overthinking slows everything down. And when the brain gets overloaded, it freezes.
That makes so much sense. It's like opening too many tabs on a computer.
Exactly. Eventually, the system becomes slow.
And what about the third reason? Trying to build perfect sentences before speaking?
This is one of the biggest habits that stops fluency. A learner wants to say one simple thing, but before speaking, they try to organize the entire sentence perfectly in their mind. They want the grammar to be correct, the vocabulary to sound natural, and the pronunciation to be good too.
And by the time they've prepared that perfect sentence, the conversation has moved on.
Exactly. Or they become so focused on building the sentence that they lose confidence and say nothing at all.
So what can people do in the moment when their mind goes blank?
The first thing is simple. Pause and breathe.
That sounds basic, but it's powerful.
It really is.
A short pause gives your brain time to recover, and one deep breath tells your body that you're safe. You are not in danger. You're just speaking.
I think that's important because many learners think silence is failure.
Yes, but silence is normal. Native speakers pause too. They think, they hesitate, they restart sentences. A short pause does not mean you're bad at English. It means you're human.
That's such a helpful reminder.
The second thing is to use simple rescue phrases.
I love this idea.
If your mind goes blank, don't fight for a perfect sentence. Use a phrase that gives you time. For example, you can say, "Let me think for a second," or "How can I say this?" Or even, "I know what I mean, but I need a moment."
That does two things. It keeps the conversation alive and it reduces the pressure.
Exactly. And it teaches your brain that going blank is not the end of the conversation. It's just a moment inside the conversation.
That's such a powerful shift.
The third thing is to speak in smaller pieces. Don't aim for a long, impressive answer. Start with one short sentence. Then add the next one.
Can you give an example?
Of course. Imagine someone asks, "Why do you want to improve your English?" A learner might try to create one perfect answer with many ideas. But that's hard under pressure. A better way is this. "I want to improve my English for work. I also want to travel more. And I want to feel more confident." Short, clear, natural. Exactly. And much easier for the brain to handle.
What about practice outside real conversations? Can learners train their brain not to freeze?
Definitely. One of the best ways is speaking out loud every day, even when you're alone.
I think a lot of people underestimate that.
They do. But speaking out loud builds familiarity, and familiarity reduces fear. You can describe your room, talk about your day, answer simple questions, or repeat short podcast phrases after the speaker.
So the goal is to make speaking feel normal, not special.
Exactly. If speaking English only happens in stressful moments, your brain starts connecting English with pressure. But if you speak every day in calm, ordinary moments, your brain learns a new message. English is safe. English is familiar. English is something I can do.
That is such an important mindset shift.
Another useful practice is preparing mini answers to common questions.
Like what?
Questions like, "Where are you from? What do you do? What do you like to do in your free time? Why are you learning English?" These questions come up again and again. If you practice simple answers in advance, your brain feels more ready in real conversations.
So you're not memorizing a script. You're building comfort with familiar patterns.
Exactly. And that comfort helps prevent blank moments.
I think one of the most encouraging things for learners is this. Going blank does not mean you are failing. It often means you're in the middle of growth.
Yes, because if you're freezing, it means you're trying. You're in the conversation. You're stretching beyond what feels easy. And that matters.
So instead of asking, why am I so bad at this? Maybe the better question is, how do I respond kindly when this happens?
I love that. Because self-kindness is not a soft skill here. It's a practical skill. If you stay calm, you recover faster. If you judge yourself, you freeze longer.
That's worth hearing again. If you stay calm, you recover faster.
Exactly. So the next time your mind goes blank, don't see it as proof that you can't speak English. See it as a moment to pause, breathe, use a simple rescue phrase, and keep going.
That one moment does not define your fluency.
Not at all. What matters is what you do next.
All right, let's look at a few useful words and phrases from today's conversation.
The first word is pressure. Pressure is the feeling that something important is happening and you must do well. For example, I speak better English when I don't feel pressure.
The next word is overthink. To overthink means to think about something too much, especially in a way that makes it harder. For example, when I overthink my grammar, I speak more slowly.
Next is freeze. In this episode, to freeze means to suddenly stop being able to think or speak clearly.
For example, I froze when the teacher asked me a question.
Another useful phrase is rescue phrase. A rescue phrase is a simple sentence you use when you need more time. For example, let me think for a second is a rescue phrase.
And the last one is familiarity. Familiarity means knowing something so well that it feels normal and comfortable. For example, daily speaking practice creates familiarity.
Let's hear them one more time. Pressure. Overthink. Freeze. Rescue phrase. Familiarity.
Now it's your turn.
We're going to ask you a question, and we want you to pause the video and answer out loud in English.
Here is your question. What usually happens right before your mind goes blank, and what can you do next time to stay calm?
Pause the video now and answer in short, simple sentences.
Ready? Pause now. Great! Here's an example answer. My mind usually goes blank when I feel rushed or nervous. I start thinking too much about grammar and then I lose my confidence. Next time, I want to pause, take a breath, and use a simple phrase like, give me a second.
That's enough. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be real.
Thank you for spending this time with us today.
If this episode helped you, subscribe to the Maya and James podcast for more real English conversations every week.
And tell us in the comments, what is the number one reason your mind goes blank when you speak English?
We'll see you in the next episode.
Until then, keep practicing.
And keep going.
Take care.